Hi, so just a quick note before we get into today's episode. I know that a couple of weeks ago we said we were going to go on a hiatus and then we're going to do some Con Air adjacent films for a little while. But then our schedules kind of opened up a little bit, so we're still going to have a half hiatus where we're going to alternate between these Con Air adjacent shows and the regular chapters. So this is chapter 21 today, and next week will be another hiatus show, and then we'll back to chapter 22 the week after, and that'll be it for a little while. I hope that's okay. Enjoy.
Put the bunny down. Put the bunny down. Put the bunny down. Put the bunny down.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Hello and welcome to Con Air, the podcast. I am Mark Very Blue Room Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay Grand Theft Auto Cluett. Welcome you to Con Air Chapter 21, where we are flying our way through, driving this week, all of the many chapters of Con Air, scene by scene. And this is Chapter 21. What happens in Chapter 21? Well, Larkin talks to Trisha Poe, attempting to reason why Cameron stayed on the plane at Carson City. But they are interrupted by a phone call from Ted Grasso of the Fresno Police Department, informing Larkin of a body that fell from the sky with his name all over it. Larkin deduces that the plane is heading to Lerner Airfield, which is in the opposite direction from where Malloy and Skip are heading following the transponder, but they brush off his warning and hang up, prompting an aircraftless Larkin to steal Malloy's car and head to Lerner Airfield alone, making calls for backup on the way. And we need someone to help us talk about Con Air Chapter 21. We need someone who is a fan of at least two of the actors in this film, who is started covering a film all about them, and is very familiar with podcast hiatus, which is an episode coming straight off the back of a hiatus, from Malkovich Minute, is Austin Pryor. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. And in a heroic bit of podcasting, I managed to plug out my field recorder and plug it back in and boot it back up and hit record just in time. It was actually a very kind of Bruckheimer-inspired cliffhanging moment there.
I kind of felt like Tom Cruise did in the first Mission Impossible when he's just hanging there. And then Jean Reno has like I felt that suspense watching you fix everything back up.
I vamped as much as I could, and I was like, I have to introduce him now.
Oh, you knew? Okay. So I have your podcasting prowess to thank for it. I thought it was just my quick reflexes.
But Gruber would be proud of your work right there. That's wonderful stuff. And I got to say, this chapter, we've spent a lot of, we're on our 21st episode, and Cusack's character has really, Larkin has not been my favorite character, but this is my favorite bit of him this episode. This is him at his best, just chatting with somebody. I just like him chatting, running around. He has a very sweaty back in this episode.
Makes him relatable. Sweaty backs are relatable.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever I see a sweaty back on screen, I go, that dude was actually sweaty.
Yeah, he's a hard-working man.
This isn't like Fast Five, where Dom Toretto is completely dry the entire film, but The Rock is a puddle. So it's just great sweat work by Cusack, and just also
and he does all his own sweating.
Yeah, there's no one with Evian spray just shooting him in the back with it. Now, I would love to be. Listen, I've had to spritz people down with Evian spray on sets before, but I would love to be Cusack's Evian spray guy. What'd you do in Con Air? Well, I sprayed Cusack's back down with Evian spray. That'd be pretty sweet. And then, I don't know, what'd y'all think about the blue room in this chapter? There's a lot of blue set dressing. Did y'all notice?
There is.
I didn't.
Yeah, so there's a door frame, there's a hair tie, everybody has blue eyes except for Cusack. There's blue files, there's a blue jacket or shirt, there's blue overalls, there's a blue pen, there's bluish walls, and then the plane is blue. Then when he runs outside, he sees the paint. There's blue paint on the plane. All the guys are wearing blue uniforms. There's the blue tarp over the car. There's blue cars. Wow. It's a very blue chapter. So the production design, they went for it in this. I've never done. Has the rest of this movie been this blue? Have we missed that?
I don't think it has. We get a lot of sky. So. That is, from Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, that is something I do pay attention to, is how blue a scene is at any given point.
And how deep,
that
and how much sea there is.
You joke, but we do rate things on that metric over on that podcast.
How deep?
We have a ranking of the deepest, bluest films that we've covered so far.
Oh, great.
It's hell. I hadn't noticed how blue it is, because it's been a lot of dust in previous chapters. It's quite an orange film so far. But in this room, it's very primary colours, because you've got all the blue, but then you've got little Casey's in like a bright yellow top. You've got her and Trisha both have yellow hair and red lips, and it's just a lot of blue, yellow, and red going on. And then when you cut away, there's like a bright yellow ambulance kind of behind them, which I've never seen a yellow ambulance before. And the Pinball's body is covered in yellow, so there's a lot of primary colours going on.
And when the cop is talking, he has the blue light flashing right next to his head,
and a red light sometimes as well.
Yeah. They went full primary. I don't know the set dressers on this had a lot of fun this day. Like Steve Fauter, and then let's see, Randy Gunter. All these people on there had a good time. I don't know. I just, I know when something's good production design when I think, like, when someone mentions it to me, then I see it, because it doesn't take my attention away from it. But today I was like, this is a lot of blue. So then I had to just,
So
I
does
had
that
to
mean it's not
something
good? No. Does that mean it's not good? The fact that it drew attention to itself.
I mean, for me, it just, because I think anything that takes you out of the movie itself, because then you go, wait. That's blue. And you're not listening to, Trisha Poe trying to get her husband back. Or,
with her piercing blue eyes.
Yeah, like, those things are bombing the screen. So you just, like, when you're thinking about something else during the movie, I feel like that's when maybe the production design takes you out. Now, if it's like that all the way through, you sort of get into that rhythm visually, so then it doesn't bother you anymore. But
like a Wes Anderson film or something.
Yeah, it's all pastel. Like, from first second to the end, you're looking at really pretty colors, and so you sort of fall into that world. But yeah, this one, I don't know. I don't know. That's just what I noticed. But I kind of had fun doing that, because I'm like, this is different. I don't know what's going on here. Random, I know.
No, I like it. It's just as soon as you started talking about color theory and noticing, so I was realized, better up my game.
You're fine, don't worry.
I teach film studies and production design at a college, so I deal with this stuff all day, so it's kind of fun. But I never expected Con Air of doing that, so good job, Con Air.
Good job, Con Air.
So Austin,
a lot of blue.
Austin, you're joining to us on quite a long hiatus from the Being John Malkovich minute, the Malkovich minute. So two of the three stars of this film, John Malkovich and John Cusack, appear in your film as well. Sadly, no Malkovich in this chapter, but are you a big Malkovich and Cusack fan?
Not especially. Like, it just I'm much more of like I get much more geeky about the filmmakers and so like for me, Malkovich, Being John Malkovich is, a Spike Jonze movie and a Charlie Kaufman movie, and but I appreciate the art of acting, and both of those are fantastic in my movie, my podcasting movie of choice, and they're both fine here too.
This is a less highbrow film for both, definitely.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking, what is it during the process? Why am I like, because I would argue that the entertainment value of a film like this is like, is maybe, I don't get as entertained by this as a lot of other people do, certainly as you two do. I'm getting daggers here now. I'm feeling
listen, like Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, or like Decision to Leave, or After Sun, like when those movies hit, those kind of indies that hit on all cylinders, like that's when I get the happiest for me with cinema, for sure. But but like for an action film in the 90s, at least for me, going into this when I was 15 and seeing the like Cusack and Malkovich and all these sort of art house actors populating a bonkers action film, it really has stood out for me since 97, because that initial feeling of going like, John Malkovich and Cusack are in this movie. Nick Cage is buff. Like, what is What's like my brain was kind of like misfiring, which I mean it happens a lot, but it was really misfiring
It happens
in '97 watching this. So
I too saw it in '97 in the cinema, and I'm a little bit older. I was 17 rather than 15, but and I think I was in my pretentious cinema phase, so that I was kind of left cold by it. And watching it again, like just now, I just finished it in time for this. I was like, I think I probably enjoyed it a bit more, but I definitely had to kind of, disengage critical faculties a little bit to get the most out of it. But I kept thinking of like, this is only 2 years before being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
And like Malkovich looks a lot younger in this. And it just seems odd. It seems a lot more than 2 years. And then, and Malkovich is just, I forgot what an imposing presence he could be, because he's kind of a diminished figure intentionally for the comedy in the movie. You know what I mean? The movie is making fun of John Malkovich and the kind of, pompous actor type, and it's doing so brilliantly, and Malkovich himself entered the spirit of it so thoroughly that I forget that he has this kind of on-screen presence and can be like, scary, and he's really, he's really effective in this.
So wait, he had Con Air and then Rounders in '98. And then Being John Malkovich in '99. That's a cult classic run right there.
Yeah. Is Rounders like highly regarded these days, or is that a thing that
has its fans?
Following?
It has its fans.
I think the only reason why it has so much is because it's so inside poker. Like really, it's very niche, but also because of Cusack's "Give him his money," and just the Oreos and
Malkovich.
And it also came out before Poker hit big. So when Poker hit big, with like in the States at least for me,
it picked up.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, Rounders, like that's my movie." Yeah. So I feel like most people in the States, when you talk to them, they like whenever you bring up Rounders, they always like, "I need an Oreo," or they try to mimic Teddy KGB. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Don't splash the pot. Yeah.
When I was just going down a bit of a Malkovich rabbit hole during my research, I found an interview with Rounders co-star
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, thank you. An interview with Matt Damon where he told this story about Malkovich coming on. Have you heard this? You know the one I'm talking about? Yeah. That like this. Everybody was like, Malkovich is coming in today. This is good. Malkovich's day. He's coming in to shoot. Oh my god! And so the set was kind of hushed. And Matt Damon was still fairly early in his career. This is maybe 1 or 2 movies after Good Will Hunting, and so Matt Damon is like doesn't know what to expect. And here's this big Hollywood legend coming in, and kind of a theater legend as well, and having that kind of gravitas and stuff, And then in he comes and he goes hard and full on with this accent. Where is my money? And he just. Matt Damon just can't help himself and just like kind of drops his jaw of like, that's how you're going to play this, and tries to keep his composure, like I don't want to offend the guy. And Malkovich picks up on it and just leans in close to Matt Damon and just says, I'm a lousy actor. And just completely like bursts the bubble of tension and just like takes a piss out of himself, and it's just like, it's so great. But then apparently if you see the film, he still did the accent. Yeah. So I don't know.
I read an oral history about it, and the director and writers, they had done some stuff before it, but they were dealing with John Malkovich, and so they were just having conversations. Should we tell him? Should we tell one of the greatest actors that his accent is insane? They're like, yeah. They're like, I guess it's not bad, but like it's so over the top. Like they're like, is our movie doomed? But behind the camera, they were too afraid to go up. Like Francis Ford Coppola was too afraid to talk to Keanu during Bram Stoker's because it's just so nice. People were so afraid to go up to Malkovich on a different regard because they didn't want to.
I know where the bastard sleeps.
Yeah. I feel bad. Coppola was like, he was trying so hard. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but you basically crucified the guy for everyone who watched the movie. But listening to them on the oral history of Rounders, they're just like, do we tell him? Like, he knows. And he apparently he studied with somebody, and he came in. A woman recorded all of his lines, and she pronounced them all the ways that he said it. So he would listen to her say the line, then he would mimic it. And then he was only in for a week or two for all of his scenes, so he didn't have time to really go back and do anything.
But then that's the most memorable aspect of the film is Malkovich.
Exactly.
So that's what everyone remembers.
Yeah.
If Malkovich was like, hey, Matt Damon, like, want to play some poker?
Hey,
Right,
don't
cool,
smash
guys.
the pot.
Yay! Like, no one would care. Like, because Norton's a nothing character in it. Like, it's a good movie. It's really inside poker, but yeah, just if Cusack played it, and also John Turturro has a very Mitch Hedberg cadence in Rounders. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah,
But,
Jansen's in it, so that's.
But Rounders would not be the movie. It would not be so remembered so fondly if Malkovich had just talked like Malkovich. That accent, perfection. Because you got to have something to be memorable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and like a quirky voice or a walk or a bit of business to give some distinctive characteristic that's all gravy for Hollywood, and audiences dig it. So it works. Yeah.
That's when to bring it into this chapter of Con Air, we have
Con Air. Yeah.
Yes, we have the character of Ted Grasso. The Fresno Police Department guy on the phone to Larkin. He has 4 lines. He's like still leaning on his car the whole time. But this is a guy who's always stood out to me from the film. I don't know what it is, but he just knows how to deal with these 4 lines. The tone on him, I completely buy him as a cop who's just having a hell of a day. This guy fell from the sky with a note written on him, and he's just like, okay. Going to call up Larkin. And I love this guy. He's an actor called Tommy Bush. He's not been in a bunch of stuff. He sadly passed away in 2003. But he's his first film was The Getaway with Steve McQueen. And he was in Convoy. He's done a bunch of TV over
Crimson
years.
Tide. He's a very Crimson Tide guy.
He plays a hillbilly in Mars Attacks. So he's got
he
some
looks
great
like
stuff.
He would play a hillbilly, yeah.
He's got some great stuff on his CV, but he's only got 29 acting credits. But I just love everything about this guy. He's just stationary. He doesn't have a walk. He doesn't have much of a demeanor to him. He's just real. He's like a real guy in the scene.
They're in Fresno, and they just pulled the guy over. And he has blue lapels, too. Like, his blue police stuff is all blue on his uniform. By the way, if you look at it, it's blue.
Yeah.
Okay, and the guy who... did you cover this last chapter? The guy who got the... who is visible in the background in this job.
Car wash guy. Yeah, we've talked about him.
Yeah, Scully's dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Scully's dad in X-Files and Briggs, Bobby Briggs' dad in Twin Peaks.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
X-Files.
Yeah, so there you go. That's a little catch for you there. So... yeah, he's like in both of those very straight-laced, and in both of those a military man, and here he is playing a kind of a chump, getting poop on his car,
poop in a thimble.
Yeah, and something else even worse is going to fall on the car with hilarious results.
Poor beige Volvo. You know about the beige Volvo trilogy, right? We've talked about this 2 weeks in a row, but do you know about that?
The beige Volvo trilogy. Yeah, sure. What? Just for the listeners, let them know. Yeah.
So in The Rock, he drives a beige Volvo.
Oh.
And in Con Air, that guy, car wash, has pinball fall on his beige Volvo. And in Face Off, he steals a beige Volvo and drives it after he escapes around from Magnet Prison.
So it's these 3 films in a row, all involving prisons in some way, and Nick Cage all have a beige Volvo.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. And but I missed the third one because I was kind of distracted by the American insistence on pronouncing Volvo to be like unnecessarily close to a woman's body part in its pronunciation. But it's
well, see, I always say Volvo, but like I say wolf instead of wolf, I say wolf. So I think I put a lot of U's in things.
I don't have a problem with that. Wolf, like that's subtle to me. But
Like Volvo, but Volvo.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, beige vulva.
you, yeah, a beige one
The beige
specifically
Volvo trilogy.
is what. Yeah, that's what threw me. But I don't know. I mean, we're on the same side of the Atlantic. How do you pronounce that particular
Volvo.
Volvo? Yeah,
Yeah,
I hear
Volvo,
that.
yeah.
That's how I hear it. Maybe that's how you hear what you're saying as well. But I hear you putting in a U.
I put
these
U's
are
in.
the things-
I'm telling you, I put U's into everything. I don't know why.
Okay.
I just throw U's into things. Like Armageddon. No,
That one I want you to stick to. I want you to do Armageddon Minute, and I want you to stick to that pronunciation
would be a
the entire
long
time, and
podcast.
never refer to why you're pronouncing it that way.
yeah, Indiana Jones. In the last Crusade. I just put a U in everything. And that
Right.
happens.
Again with deep end pucked.
Yeah, deep input. But yeah, it's you're going back to the loving Ted Grasso, which I love that name. But
Yeah.
that's a Bruckheimer special right there. You watch like his produced stuff like Top Gun, Crimson Tide. You watch The Rock. Those movies. There's always such a deep bench of supporting characters. Like the day players that they get for these movies are nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know how Bruckheimer does it, but yeah, he tore it up with this guy. Tommy Bush does a good job
Yeah.
in this.
His name was Ned in the
deep bench.
script. I don't know why it's Ted in the film, but I
Oh.
like Ted. Ted works.
Characters like him and a lot of the gags and I was thinking about James Bond a lot in this movie. Is that something that has come up? in the
Whoa,
podcast?
no, not at all.
Just like all of these, because the tone overall is much more like gritty and grounded in the way they're acting and relating to each other. But the stuff like the action mishaps and the like gags that come out of like the humor that comes out of action scenes are all like very James Bond. Like the car, the unlikely. Oh, I don't want to talk about future.
You're fine.
chapters,
It's okay.
but
You
go
can.
for
The
it.
fly- the
a
flying
car
car.
getting lifted up by the plane.
Yeah.
You know, that's very like a goofy James Bond thing.
All I can see now
And-
is replacing Ted Grasso with Sheriff J.W. Pepper.
Yeah. What about Cole Meany in Live and Let Die?
Was that?
What about Cole Meany as Sheriff Pepper in Live and Let Die?
Oh, now
Yes.
you're talking.
Oh yes, wonderful, perfect.
Would
Love
you-
it. Wait, as
Well-
American or as Irish?
Irish.
No,
Oh,
you'd
I'm
have
Irish
to do the
American.
country accent, like "Oh shucks."
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if Colin Meaney could pull off that accent. His accent work is maybe not the greatest.
It's wonderful in this film. I love when he gets angry and the Irish really comes out. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago where it happened.
Yeah,
a lot. And he's always angry. He's always angry.
Yeah.
So-
And my headcanon for this movie is that he's an Irish American,
Yeah.
cop, which, there are one or two of them, I've heard.
Absolutely. Dotted around somewhere.
So like I'm fine with him in this. Plus, it's Colin Meaney; he can do no wrong. I was kind of interested now because I wanted to get a notion of maybe you've covered Colin already, so I don't want to go over ground you've covered. But like, how familiar are you guys in the US and you over in the UK with the Colin Meaney like outside of Star Trek?
We're not familiar with him in Star Trek. But
Yeah,
we're not Star Trek guys, I'm afraid. I know him mainly from Con Air and Die Hard 2. Is my
that's right.
little
Die
bits
Hard
here
2
and there.
well. A little bit here and there. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I never watched Star Trek, so I knew him from all of his character work from the '90s,
Right.
which is just Con Air, popping up in Layer Cake that I liked him in, Road to Wellville, Under Siege, Last of the Mohicans. Like that's where I never watched Far and Away, so I guess I never got that. But
and he's great.
Yeah,
in,
he was just
Pixie and Alan Partridge. He's really good in those.
Oh, Alan Partridge.
Yes. So because like what he's mainly known for here in terms of the pop culture, in terms of the reference, is the Barrytown trilogy, which you've probably never heard of as a trilogy because it's kind of never got the films were licensed differently and separately and blah blah blah. But you've probably heard of The Commitments.
Yes.
Oh, The Commitments, yeah.
Yeah, and you've seen it and stuff. But there are two other movies in that trilogy that it was a trilogy of books, but the movie licensing, the movies all got made separately. But the only thing that's in common for the three of them is that Colm Meaney plays the dad in all three, and he's a legend, and we love him, and we just like, probably the best of them is a movie called The Snapper, in which his eldest daughter gets pregnant, and it's a scandal in the community, and will she keep it, and blah blah blah, all this stuff. And that's like that. He's the dad in that, and he's amazing in all three of these. And they made the third one like as a TV movie. It's called The Van, and not as many people saw that. But like the Commitments and The Snapper are two like very big kind of cultural touch points, and I think The Snapper kind of holds up a lot better than The Commitments. I think The Commitments is kind of, it has its strong points. It has great moments in it, and the dad's love of Elvis, Colm Meaney does a beautiful job with that.
Ooh, I'm watching this. Yeah, Frears and good old Gleason in an early role.
In which?
Gleason, he's in The Snapper as Lester.
Oh,
wait, The Snupper.
Yes.
The Snupper.
The Snupper. Or The Snapper.
The U-Napper.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just go through all of them, yeah.
The Unipper. Wait, 3 hours later.
But yeah, like The Snapper is well worth a watch, and that holds up. I mean, a lot of the humor is very Irish and even very Dublin within Ireland. So I don't know how much it would translate, but I think it would. I think it's a darn good movie. But yeah, so like that's Colm Meaney is kind of like between that and Chief O'Brien, and I wouldn't have thought you even had to be a Star Trek fan to just be aware. I mean, Star Trek is just one of those things. It's just kind of everywhere. I don't,
We're aware that he's in them. We just haven't.
Yeah.
I only watched all of the Star Trek films last year. That was my first time seeing anything Star Trek prior to J.J. Abrams. So it's just an area of the world that just passed me by, kind of thing.
Wow,
so,
that's strange. Yeah.
I'm from a family that hates sci-fi. It just.
Okay.
My family hasn't seen Star Wars.
Okay.
I guess I was a Star Wars kid growing up. Not I guess I was. So maybe I thought I guess I did. I unnecessarily picked a side.
Yeah.
And, I like the whales one. I remember that there were being whales. I remember Spock knocking out a guy on a plane on a bus who's listening to loud music. But yeah, I know Shatner throws the rock at a lizard in one of those episodes. But yeah, it's a big. I know the latest movies I've watched. Yeah. But yeah, it's not. But I don't know.
So do we like Colm Meaney in this scene where?
Yeah, he's just chuckling and being a jerk.
He's
going, well, this is like pure. The bad guy needs to be obstructive for a reason that doesn't suit his interests at all. It just has to happen for the plot. And he's like, "You're crazy." It's the old movie, like, "You're crazy. Why would you think he's crazy? Why is this not credible?"
To be fair, Larkin's doing a terrible job at explaining himself. Yeah. He's explaining it in a way that no one's going to believe him. He picks up the phone and says, "Turn around."
Why would you not believe him?
Because okay, here's what he says: "Turn around. The plane's heading to the airfield." Listen to me. A body fell from the sky. Had a note on it. It was to me. The note on the body was to me. That's all the information he gives is a body fell from the sky. He doesn't say one of the prisoners. Malloy is looking for any excuse to say Larkin's a fool and doesn't.
Well, that's my point. Why is he looking for any excuse? I mean, like I did when watching the movie. I watched the scene first, the chapter first, and then rewatched the movie, which I hadn't seen since its 1997 release. Oh, wow. So there is a bit more context. By the time I get to that scene in the movie proper, it's set up a little bit better, but it still smacks of like, well, for the plot purposes, we need him to not believe him, so that's what's going to happen.
The second Malloy arrives on screen, he's a dick, and
he is a dick.
Just the second
what do you call
Jay
a bad good guy?
Yeah, he's a bad good guy. He's like on Larkin's side, but
yes,
but he's not his team, but is against him every step of the way.
There's jurisdictional tension, I believe we call it, between the two.
He just comes in hot. I love how
he dials it all the way up right from the beginning.
Revving his engine when Larkin's trying to introduce himself.
Yeah. For no reason.
Second one.
Just just purely like, whipping his back out. If that's not, oh, sorry, I'll probably get beat. But just kind of that level of like macho-ness, and then like reverses into the disabled parking spot. It's like, mwah, okay, I know what movie we're watching now. Subtlety is not on the menu. We're settling in, and we're.
I'm just happy he didn't put like half a pack of gum into his mouth and just smack loudly the entire time. That would be the only thing that could make his character worse. Just an entire like 8 Bubblicious in his mouth at all times.
Yeah.
Just
with that
gobbing.
That would be like a more of a youngster thing to do, wouldn't it? An annoying like
Topher Grace or something comes in. He'd be
yeah. So or he has to, like, somebody like Colomini has to deal with somebody who's smacking the gum in a convenience store. He's like, I need to look at your security tapes or whatever, and the boss doesn't come back to whatever. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Is that I kind of think of like, punk kid with the baseball cap on or something is who like smacks the gum.
The cast of Clerks plays some guy smacking gum
another version of this script where things took a different direction, like that character showed up. It's a very Bruckheimer universe kind of a trope.
I do love the smile on his face though when he knows he's not helping out them. Like, he's just in the back cheesing it up. He's like, he shows his upper teeth. He kind of has his lips up a little bit.
Upper teeth grin. That's the one he did it a couple of weeks ago when he slammed the door in Larkin's face. That's his go-to. I'm being a dick smile. I love it.
That's a great upper teeth work right there too. He's nailing that. Oh, I'm just happy that they have the headphones on too. Not the headphones, but the communication devices. But they're hammering it up in the back of the helicopter. It's in a parking lot in LA somewhere. And Combs just jumping all over the place. It makes me very happy. This is not my favorite scene with him because he's just cheesing in this.
He's leaning in.
And I have a question. Which suit do you prefer? Cusack's gigantic suit in Con Air. We're talking, he could parachute with that. If he was in drop zone, he would just use his suit.
When he's striding down the corridor, it's twisting all over the place around him. It's so big for him. There's so much space in there.
Or Cusack's suit in Being John Malkovich, the gray.
Ill-fitting suit.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and I feel like I can smell it. I really do. Like, it's just like it looks like that shirt is about to melt into something.
And he gets like a blood stain on the shirt just before going to a job interview as well, which is just like, you're a classy gent. They're really different characters and giving such a different kind of energy. To know which suit I prefer, I'd have to see Con Air suit on the Being John Malkovich version of John Cusack, because like the Con Air guy is so together and slick and much more like traditional John Cusack, whereas Craig Schwartz is just a completely different animal who even if the suit fit him perfectly, he would manage to look bad. You know what I mean? Because he'd be all nebbishy and awkward in it, and it would chafe him no matter what. So like
that's a great point.
He can't, like, Craig Schwartz couldn't pull off even a nice suit. This, like, John Cusack in this is just so gorgeous. I didn't even notice the suit. I was just like, look at this man.
We got hair.
He's just, and the first thing I saw when I clicked on the chapter you shared with me, like, the first thing I'm seeing about the two adult characters, I hasten to add, is the first thought I had was like, wow, people in movies are too good looking, because it's distracting. Just once again, I was just talking about the adults.
Yeah, Monica Potter is a very attractive person. Yeah, it must be.
Just exploding blue eyes too. And but they put her in a weird sort of shirt. They put her in a. I'm not aging with wardrobe here, but they put her in a very kind of, like, they maybe think her character is 30 years older than what she is.
Well, maybe? This is supposed to be 8 years later than when we saw her as the waitress. So that 8 year, I can't remember how old Monica Potter was when they filmed this, but I'm guessing she's closer in age to the before than the after.
Yeah, and I don't like the earrings they put on her either. They go with that kind of. But I think what they're doing is they want to make her more mom-like and less of the, sex appeal and more of the beautiful angelic, and that's why they're tight on the face, and the piercing blue eyes and the blonde hair catching the light and all that. It's very angelic imagery, which is kind of how they do it from the start. But they've dialed the kind of sexy aspect down, compared to the opening scene.
Yeah, so she was 26 when they filmed this.
Got it. So they just tried to age her up.
Whereas Nick Cage was 30.
Not 26.
33. So I guess if they made her 8 years older, then they're about the same age. So they're just trying to age her up and keep him where he is.
Yeah.
I'll go on real quick. I think if Cusack's character from Being John Malkovich wore Vince Larkin's suit, he would just fall on the ground. Like I don't see him holding the responsibility of a large beige suit well.
Especially hunched over when he's on the floor 7.5. That suit's dragging all over the place. Like there's just too much material to hunch over.
Yeah, he would just fall on the ground. Like I don't think he could handle it. Like I've put on clothes before where I just go, this isn't working for me. Like I think he would just retreat. I think he would put the suit coat over him and like kind of turtle up into the ground.
And did you fall on the ground when you put on a suit?
I freak out a little bit. Like I know immediately. I'm like, this isn't working, and I just collapse.
This is above my pay grade.
Yeah. And then a few hours later, my wife drags me out of the house after a complete meltdown. But I couldn't wear that suit that Cage is wearing right now. That's too much room. Like that's just a lot of flowy outfit. That's very 90s though. Like
it is. It was a big. The bar had been set for how much room there could be in a garment in the early 90s by MC Hammer.
Yes.
And once MC Hammer had just kind of exploded the potential of pants, it's just, everything was set. It took years to recover.
The parachute pants. Like how you can make 4 pants. And also, we had Jinko shorts. I don't know if you know this, but Jinko jeans, they were gigantic. They were like 3 pants in one. So I don't know what, like in the 90s, all the grunge people wore the huge flannels, the big white shirts. Yeah, I think people just like fabric, wasting fabric.
Yeah.
Maybe the Gen X were sticking it to the major clothing corporations by
buying more of their product.
Yeah. Larger things. It's a really backwards plan, but I mean they were just high on cappuccinos. Yeah. Like they were just when you're sitting around drinking cappuccinos all day, you're gonna do some dumb things, right?
Yeah.
Like you saw a married an axe murderer. Like look what cappuccinos got him into.
So have either of you ever driven 120 miles an hour?
Yes.
How was it?
What's that in kilometers?
That is 193 kilometers an hour.
No, I have not.
So Mark, when you drove 120 miles an hour, was that for about an hour?
No. It was down a country road at night, and it was just the 4 of us in a line flying down the road. Just absolutely flying.
Because
193, Jesus.
Larkin's got 50 minutes to get 100 miles, which is 120 miles an hour, or 190.
And he gets there ahead of him.
And he gets there, well, he kind of approximates 50 minutes, so he does a little math in his head. So, and I looked at the car that he's borrowing is a 1967 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray 427. Top speed 142 miles an hour, so 200 and something miles. So he can do it. Fuel tank capacity is 20 gallons. He would need, and that car does about 13.7 miles to the gallon. So that can do 274 miles. So he can do it if the car's at least 40% full. So I think he's with the car going top speed, he can do it. Absolutely fine.
He can do it, and as long as he hits no traffic.
Yes, no traffic. I mean, he's going across the desert basically. But I hate if I'm driving, which I hate driving full stop. When I drive, I hate going anything more than like 60, 65. So I'm like a 50 mile an hour kind of guy at best. So 120 is unfathomable for me.
It was crazy. But I mean, you know, when you're 18, 19, you just do crazy things, you know?
You're indestructible.
Yeah, exactly. No, you really do.
Yeah.
I remember I would go do boxing matches on the weekend to make extra cash during tennis season. I never thought about the fact I could hurt my hand and not play tennis. Like that's
Wow.
that's kind of what you do. But
I thought you said during tetanus season.
oh yeah, I had a lot of tetanus too. I hung out in a lot of rusty areas.
Yeah, in Georgia, you just get those like hails of frosty nails now and then, don't you?
Yeah, that's how I trained. I used to dance in abandoned warehouses.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're flinging yourself around an abandoned warehouse, you're gonna get tetanus.
Yeah.
So
All season long.
yeah, most of the 8th grade year I spent in a hospital. Most of my 10th grade year, and then 2 of my years in college, I was just loaded with tetanus.
Oh, it's a tough life.
Cusack runs in this chapter, and this is gonna sound weird, but I don't think of Cusack really as a runner in cinema. He's very much so in the sort of Travolta Costner line of cinematic walkers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he came up as like a brat in the kind of teen comedies and teen dramas, and there's not much call for running there. And then, the kind of more arty movies and stuff. But he's done a couple of the Bruckheimer ones, hasn't he? He's done 20. Was he in 2012?
But he drives.
Yes.
But like I feel like in that
The
movie,
limo
all I
driver.
think about him doing is driving. In High Fidelity, I think he stands in one spot the entire time.
Yeah,
does.
and it's
And then
raining.
just bitches about women.
Yeah.
Grosse Point Blank, he's just sort of walking. He'll
Yeah.
throw like a kick every now and again.
There are action sequences, but none of them are foot chases. So he's like jumping down the stairs, and it's a shootout. So there's not much call for running.
I guess in Better Off Dead he skis, but that's still not running.
That's. I just love that you had to clarify that. Skiing is not running.
And he
Just
doesn't run
to
with
mention,
jury, but he doesn't do
Yeah.
a lot of running in it. I just want to clear that out for everybody. So
it's much more jury than running. Yeah.
like and say anything, he throws some kicks, but he mostly talks about buying things. He doesn't want to buy things used or sold.
It's not called Run Anywhere.
Yep. Most of it, Muscle of Dogs, I think he spends the majority of the time on a bench.
Identity is not running. He's like sat down and walking around. And finding
Yeah,
eggs
1408,
and-
he's stuck in a room.
you cannot run. There is no room to run in there.
Yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine. He's not. No, he's not a running actor.
But I feel like he has a
Grand
pretty
Piano.
good
He
gait.
sat down the whole time.
He has a great gait in this movie. I feel like Cusack is a runner. So I feel like we've been cheated out of like a Cusack running picture. Like I would love to see him in The Bourne Supremacy or just running. Nick Cage or John Cusack running.
I feel like once Tom Cruise started running, there was just no room for other runners in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he probably had it arranged through, the tendrils that he has through Hollywood with his, Scientology connections and stuff, that he just like said, nobody can run except me in any of these summer blockbusters. So he's got running all tied up.
He is in a film
it's
this year
true.
called Pursuit. So if he's going to be running anything, maybe he's running in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know Rutger Hauer was doing a lot of running, then he sort of stopped after Cruise made that declaration.
And he caught a lift.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Cusack
famously
sat down a lot in this film.
Hitchhiker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Cusack is not some of his rare running in this movie.
Okay.
And
So-
Serendipity sits a lot too.
This could be the
I was
only
just going to
film where he
say,
runs it.
Serendipity being a romantic comedy, not much call for running, but actually loads of them have running. The big
Yeah,
one,
the airport,
airport
yeah.
at the end, or one of those kind of intercept moments at the end of the romantic comedy. So, okay, this is something, I guess this is, it's your show. I don't want to do calls to action, but it seems like a call to action is in order for, tell us any time John Cusack has run. And just if you live in LA, just go out and try and film him running for.
If you see Cusack, just start chasing him and see what happens.
Oh yes.
I gotta do like a cinema's most sedentary
Actors.
star, and just
Yeah.
watch movies of major stars.
Paul
and see how
Giamatti's
much
got to
they
be
run.
up there. I
Yeah.
think.
Paul I mean, he does some wrestling in Santa Claus.
Sideways, I think there's a little bit.
Yeah.
Thomas
San
Hayden
Andreas,
Churchill,
he's under a desk the whole time.
Yeah, but when I picture Paul Giamatti, I don't picture motion.
Truman Show, he's sitting.
Yeah. Isn't it kind of one of those things, though, that, like, there's more stuff happens in general in movies than you think. Like, when you watch a movie and at the end you're seeing, like, snake wrangling by such and such. You're like, there was no snakes in this, drama that I just watched. And then you realize when you start to think about it that, like, more running happens in movies than in real life. More snakes, more, of, like, and the number of songs that show up in movies. I suppose there's a lot of songs in real life. That's not a great example. But when you kind of look at what went into a movie, from a production point of view and from a, like, podcasting, research point of view, you're like, wait a second, there was that in this movie as well? Just like, movies are kind of jam-packed. I don't know, they're aiming for some kind of entertainment value, I think.
Yeah.
So they're putting stuff in their movies.
Oh, why? Like, Clerks has to have a hockey game? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, I just want people sitting in a room.
Yeah.
Just talking. Chatting in the movie, starring John Cusack, Meryl Streep. Because even in River Wild, she's sitting. That's like her stunts. She's paddling. And who
I
else
want
is
to do
it?
an action movie where I can sit down.
I feel like
I'll
Forrest
put you
Whitaker
in
is
a white water
sitter.
wrap.
Yeah. Tilda Swinton. No,
Yeah.
yeah, she'd be a good. Yeah, I want to see
But
that
again,
movie.
I bet she has run more than we think.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
I bet they all have, because just stuff tends to happen in movies.
I mean, I feel like Ving Rhames in this film is a presence, but where he is in life now, when he's in the Mission Impossible films, he tends to be sat down.
Oh yeah, he's he knows where he is. I couldn't believe, having seen a couple of those recently and not seeing Ving Rhames in much else, I just like, whoa, yeah, he could move about. He was a very different presence back then.
Have you seen Undisputed? Walter Hill's Undisputed with Wesley Snipes and Ving.
No.
Ving's he's a pretty believable boxer in that. He's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're getting back to Wesley Snipes. Last week we fantasy cast Wesley Snipes into this movie.
Oh,
as Cameron Poe.
Yeah.
Okay, as Cameron Poe. Okay, now I'm picturing it. Yeah, I can see it.
So,
well, Passenger 57, he had a lot of.
Yeah.
You could probably get enough footage from Passenger 57 to cut him into this. Because it's a very different looking plane interior.
Ends in a casino.
But, with computers nowadays.
I want to see Con Air, the Passenger 57 cut by Toby Briggs.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Would you like to see Wesley Snipes and being John Malkovich in Cusack's role?
Again, a different film.
So much. Yeah. That would be. No, I'm just trying to picture that.
Being Wesley Snipes could be a fun sequel.
Oh, being Wesley Snipes. Oh, in the Malkovich role. Okay.
That's good.
Well, I think nobody's ever thought of a being anybody else that I kind of would think would be satisfactory. There's a lot of talk about this in the behind the scenes and in interviews and stuff. It's like there was talk of, like, for a while Malkovich wanted to direct being John Malkovich but not appear in it. That it would be being somebody else. And they talked about Tom Cruise and they talked about different actors and stuff. And everybody was kind of either too big and uber famous or just not respected enough. And it's just I don't think. I mean, I'd like to see being Wesley Snipes, but it would be a very different beast of a film. It wouldn't be a version of the film we got. You know what I mean?
Being Brian Dennehy.
Yeah.
Having just come off like about a year ago, Silverado Minute. We're covering Brian Dennehy.
We were that too.
I've got like a lot. Of course, I did hear you. There was a lot of. I got a lot of respect for Brian Dennehy.
Absolutely.
Because I'd never really seen him in great roles before, and I thought he was amazing. So, so I'd be up for that.
My alter ego, Mark the Kid. Oh wait, Mark the Adult.
That was you. Yeah.
He's making a movie. You're probably like, who is this idiot?
No, I knew at the time what the connections were and who was, but when you hear somebody again, because I've only been catching up with Con Air, the podcast. I've only heard the first couple of episodes, and I was like, I've definitely heard this guy somewhere else, and I knew
we were
I
doing
had
Deep
heard
Blue Sea
Jay.
at that point as well. So we were plugging a different show.
Yeah.
Mark
So
the adult. That's one of my proudest podcasting moments
that
right
was a
there.
fun one.
It is
Yeah.
good. It is
So
very good.
I once again tried to work out where everything was in the film of Con Air, because they talk about distances and times and things in this chapter. So none of this makes any kind of sense, because where Larkin is at the moment is he's at the Oakland United States Marshal Service office, which is actually in the middle of Oakland, but they're also next to the airport. So I'm just going to assume they're at Oakland Airport, and he's already been up and back to Cyrus's prison in Vacaville, but ignoring that. He says it's 100 miles, about 50 minutes to go from where he is to Lerner Airfield. Lerner Airfield, fictional, but in the script he says it's in the middle of Death Valley. A few weeks back I thought that was going to be roughly where Bicycle Lane Army Airfield is, but I've now revised that to be Furnace Creek Airport, which is directly due east from Fresno, pretty much.
Okay.
That, from where he is now, is 500 miles away. There is Google Maps says it'll be an 8-hour drive. Full speed in the Corvette is about just over 4 hours. So in the world of Con Air, they're next to each other. In the world not of Con Air, nonsense. He's going to be going flat out in that car for hours.
Man, that'd be living right there. A convert just flying that fast.
But he
for
needs
that
to
long.
drive through Bakersfield, which you can't do at 120 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I
I don't-
could.
I don't know if it would be like your sense of speed, comes from acceleration rather than the flat out speed. So, I guess at that speed, the roar of the engine is still providing a lot of the excitement and the kind of how quick you have to be with the steering, and your reflexes and stuff. But the actual sense of speed comes from, the speeding up rather than the flat out. You know what I mean? If you've topped out at 120, you just adapt to that as the new normal.
Yeah, well, there is a bit in the script where he's on the phone, he drops the phone, goes up to pick it up. As he looks up, he's about to hit an RV. So he spins out of the way and does 3 full 360-degree spins, and then just keeps on going. They cut that out for some reason.
I think that's good
He does a
screenwriting.
1080.
You put such crazy stuff into the script that is going to get cut, so that the stuff you like doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that pizza fight we have? We're going to cut that. Like, well, can we keep this? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they cut,
got a
they
bargaining
cut
chip.
Poe falling out of the plane in an earlier chapter, and Diamond Dog pulling him back in again. So, which is a hugely expensive stunt, which they don't need to have.
Can we talk about the trophy in Larkin's office? If you go to 101 in the clip, it's a guy sort of squatting down, pointing a gun. I haven't been able to read it. But
okay, yep.
what? Like the legs? Like it's not. I don't.
Some kind of marksman award at the Marshals Service. They have an annual retreat where they all go out and shoot targets.
So you just squat like that?
You don't necessarily have to adapt to the pose of the statue.
That's how all sports work. You have to look at the statue, the award statue, and then adopt that pose.
Every golf player
Don't know
only ever has the golf
anything
club above their
about
head
sport.
ready to swing.
Hey, if you want to win the squatting trophy, you got to squat.
It's
Yeah.
the squat shooting.
Come on.
The squat shooting.
The squat shooting trophy?
Yeah.
That's niche. That's something I would get into. Like, what do you win the trophy for? Squat shooting? Like, we kneel? No, you squat. You squat. And then you shoot with one hand.
Your thighs burn.
Yeah. Like, you have your left hand, your non-shooting hands on your leg, propping it up, your other hand's in the air, shooting. And then I guess Cusack's the best at that.
You
Well,
better.
we
Good for
can't
him.
see the bottom of this screen. He's also got the one-arm push-up shooting trophy. But you can't see that because that's laid down.
He's got the ultimate kick trophy with 2 feet and a fist coming at you.
He's got the
That's
burpee
that's a
trophy.
little
He's
hot
got a little
rod
plastic
reference
clear
there.
bit between him and
Ooh, a burpee trophy.
a burpee shooting trophy.
I would love to burpee shoot. That'd be like skeet surfing from Top Gun, but burpee shooting.
Top secret.
That's like the
Skeet
next
surfing.
That's like the next craze. Burpee shooting.
Oh, skeet surfing is top
Top
secret.
Gun. Yeah. Oh, top secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I messed up my tops. I love this.
sweet.
Yeah. I want to skeet. Yeah. Just. Sorry. I decided to look at that trophy because that's an odd one. But now we're talking about skeet surfing and burpee shooting.
We'll have to, this episode has to have a title. So.
Down.
Yeah.
Jump up.
And plank marksmanship.
There we go.
Plank rocket launchering. You know what I mean?
In the script, it describes Larkin's car that he decides not to take as the most broken down, cancer-ridden Pinto ever to crawl from the Dearborn assembly lines, which I just like that description.
Yeah, it's really, really heavy-handed. The thing with the car is just like, well, the guy just said you could make it in time if you've got a fast car. That doesn't look like a fast car to me.
Wait a minute.
Audience member. Oh, gee whiz, there's one right next to it that looks real fast. Like, the movie is just like, yes, not necessarily full of respect for the audience.
Yeah, and the script has him putting on Malloy's driving gloves and sunglasses as well. We don't need that.
Of course. No.
It'd be best if Cusack looked at the camera and winked. Like,
Yeah.
bow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going there.
Here we go. And then Star Wars theme plays while he hits a ramp. Oh, man.
Dukes of Hazzard theme, surely.
Oh man.
Oh,
yeah.
he doesn't slide across the bonnet. Oh, he could have slid across the car.
He could have.
Missed opportunity.
He was on the driver's side, was he? No, he wasn't. I always get confused.
He doesn't know what side he's on. He can still slide across it.
Yeah.
And slide back again.
He's a big guy. He could clear that thing easy.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's a little roller skate.
I would not want to slide across that Jetta. I'd definitely get tetanus again. Just another year gone.
Another year. Oh, the best years of your life lost to tetanus. It's a wonder your tennis career ever took off.
You came to California to get away from the tetanus season. It's just followed you there.
Just when I thought I was out, tetanus dragging me back.
Keeps dragging me back in. Oh,
Mark,
yeah.
one last warehouse dance.
So we got to get out of here. So Austin, any more thoughts on this scene or the film as a whole?
I just like I'm having so much more fun talking about it than I did watching it. I did not that it wasn't fun, but like just bless you two fine men for taking me on this journey.
Okay, so where can the listeners find you? When is Malkovich Minute coming back, do you think?
Ooh,
Is it
someday? I have long ago given up giving any like time frame of when it's going to happen. I'm studying now, and I'm going to finish college in May of next year, and that's then maybe. So I do have more episodes banked, and the website's still up. You can still enjoy the episodes that have been out there. So malkovichminute.net, and you'll find all the links for social media for all the accounts that I completely ignore now that I'm not actively involved. So, send me a message on there, and maybe in a couple of years you'll get an answer.
Right,
But malkovichminute.net is the place to go.
I look forward to it returning.
Oh, thank you.
Mark, any plugs?
Yeah, just listen to Movies, Films, and Flicks, the podcast, Movies, Films, and FLIX. Listen to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. We just released a Deep Blue Scene episode about Harry Potter 4. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yep.
Boom.
Same plugs, and then you can hear me once a month over on the Lambcast, hosting Lampardy, movie trivia, Jeopardy inspired. Over there, and my personal site is lifeversusfilm.com, but nothing happens there, so don't go. There's nothing. There's no point. Good. So, thank you, Austin, for joining us for Chapter 21 of Con Air. There are still 19 cons in the air, but we don't see them in this chapter, so it doesn't really matter. For Chapter 21 of Con Air, I've been Jake Lewitt.
Mark Hoffmeyer.
Come back next week or the bunny gets it.
Sigh.
Nara.
Beautiful.